off to a great start already. Hope everything's recording alright. What's up, world? Internet? Sam the Dingus, here to give you some survival tips. But in other words, I want to teach you how to fight and philosophically push your way through this literal hellscape. There's a lot to learn about it, and what's most known about it is how difficult it is, but if you ask me, the game isn't actually that hard for most parts. You just have to understand that dying is part of the process, and then you can start to work through it. But for beginners or anyone who wants to get into it, I'm making this survival guide. Follow along. I just have some notes written. I'm gonna have to get into them here, but I have this broken into two sections. First, just things that are game related, not input related, that will make life easier for you. First thing when you get into it is, well, you should get acquainted with how the game works, how all the controls work. Realize that there are a lot of different attacks based on different movement inputs. You know, learn what all of these things are. There's actually a nice, very convenient way you can do all that. I'm not here to tell you all the secrets of this game right now, just trying to get you started, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do specific breakdowns of bosses later and a full playthrough even, but yes, you have roll moves, roll attacks that is, regular attacks, heavy attacks, ignore that noise, nothing happened. Yeah, so it's really up to you to decide your play style. Something that I'm skipping is that at the beginning of this game you'll be creating what your person is, and there's a lot of different ways you can go, and now that I've played through it, for the most part I can say that every path will probably work. If you choose sorcery or raw strength, there's a good opportunity in everything you choose, but I basically went with a pyromancer, but it's more about strength build and just raw stats. For me, I don't use the fireballs unless I have to. But you can choose anything you want, so get something that suits you well. Additionally, when you find said weapon, this is part of the controls, part of the process, but you can make the choice to two-hand a weapon or one-hand. Well, when you're one-handing, that basically means you can have a secondary item in your offhand. See, when I two-hand it, it's just back to this, and you have more control of the weapon, and it does more damage. Different attacks as well. And then you just have a lot of opportunities with this setup as well. That's not really important though. So just make sure you know that, because it took me a long time to figure out this one-handing, two-handing thing. You don't want to be stuck not using a weapon that you could be using. And also, moving along, if this game is hard, then you should just spend time in the grind and just find a good spot you can level up. Somewhere near a campfire where you can just spend as much time as you need, or like getting as strong as you need to face whatever challenge is in front of you. This is one of the earliest grind spots in the game I found, and well, once you invest in that and you figure out what's going on, it'll help you move along. And you can be stronger than the game as well if you level up too far in your grind. Almost done with pre-advices before we get into actual fight strategy. Yeah, that's it. Actually, just one last thing is sometimes it'll help you if you are human. So humanity is a part of this game. Basically, when you die, you turn hollow. I'm not going to teach you the whole story here, but you can get humanity by killing a lot of enemies in an area before you've killed the boss of that area, and you can find them as treasure as well, and from certain enemies. And what you do with them is become human again, and then you can, I think you can read messages even if you're not human. That's part of this game as well, but listen to the messages. Sometimes they help, sometimes they don't, but you could generally trust reading them. And kindling, I guess that's worth mentioning as well. Sometimes it's worth it to spend some humanity to kindle and have more Estus, but that's more something that'll happen later on, once you've died a lot. and you have more capacity for it as well. Alright, that is it for the pre. Now I'm going to get into the things I actually wanted to talk about. I've been thinking about this all day, so hope you're ready to start Dark Souls Remastered. I should have mentioned this is a Dark Souls Remastered. Alright, I have 4 tips written prior to this that will help as well. One thing's one, a lot of times you can actually avoid fights. A lot of times you can't, and you're going to run through places many times, so you should just kill everything when you see it typically, but after you've been through a place many times, there's no reason to keep fighting the same enemies. This is especially true in the Valley of the Drakes. Also in the Tomb of the Giants, those dog skeletons, I do my best to avoid those. So, avoid fights when possible. You're going to find that this is actually a lot like real life in a lot of ways. Step 2, be humble as far as the game goes and respect every enemy, because they will all take their turn killing you one way or another. Whether it's that or fall damage, we all get got. So have some respect and take your steps very carefully. Third philosophy point is that dying is totally cool. It's definitely frustrating, because, you know, who likes dying, but it's a part of the learning process, and it kind of makes you more excited to come back at it when you've lost to an enemy, and you can come back and get revenge. So, get used to dying, try not to rage quit. Alright, first things first, no button spam. It'll work just as good as in Mortal Kombat, I'd say. You can get decently far against the beginner opponents, but eventually your carelessness will be punished. So, figure out what you're gonna do and do it. Don't try to spam randoms through this game. Alright, so when the best time to attack an enemy is, and also the time when you are most vulnerable, is right after you make a move. Once you attack, that moment after you attack, and right before you attack, you are the most vulnerable because you're locked into motion, basically. Right now, it's too early. I can still get out of the way, but sometimes you'll get stuck, just like that. Too slow, but too late. Too quick is just as bad. So the best time then, given your weak situation, to attack an enemy is right after they attack you. Don't want to run dead at him when he's got his sights on you. You want to wait till he's reloading. It's different for every enemy, of course, but it's the same deal everywhere. Wait till they're done. And important, very important as you go through and find unknown enemies, especially ones that look tough, beware of combo attacks. So, the first few sequences, you should definitely just stay out of the way and see what they are likely to do before you do anything. Always wait until a combination is done before you start attacking. Oh, dodge the worst attacks, but see, if I come in too quick after he starts attacking, he'll keep chopping me up. Now he's done. I'll get one hit in and run if I have to. He happens to be dead because I already injured him. But use caution and watch for combos against hard enemies. So the fighting in this game is mainly 3 things. Aside from the gear and weaponry and strategy you have, it comes down to position, range, and timing more than anything. These are all kind of the same thing if you think about it. You need more time if you're not close enough to touch them. And placement is, I guess the same thing as range. If you're out of range, you'll have to use walking as part of your timing. Additionally, using sprint attack, know the timing that will move at. Oh shit. Why are you listening to me? I do not know. So the main thing with timing, aside from attacking after their attack, is you have to calculate their run sometimes. Because, alright, it's just like a head-on collision. You guys will move towards each other very fast if you're moving in opposite directions. But if you're standing waiting, they're the one who enters your range, and you can best ambush them that way. But you never know what kind of attack is coming, so what's good is to get into their range and then get out. Baiting attacks is probably the best way to get through enemies. Especially with heavy weapons. You need to make sure you know how long your swing takes as well. That's part of the timing calculation. Alright, let's take a moment to talk about poise. Poise is a very slept on factor. Actually, it's probably not slept on at all. If you've ever played this game, you know what it means, but it's kind of hidden. Unless you know to look for it. But poise is the far right side up top. Basically what poise means is your ability to take an attack without being interrupted. So to speak, if you have high poise and you start an attack that's very slow and you get hit during your charge up, you'll still be able to attack. Things like this. So I recommend that you use armor for this game, good heavy armor, and boost your weight capacity as much as possible so that you can bear that. So that you can be best protected, but it's also important to keep in mind your enemies have different poise stats as well. Some heavy weapons will make anything flinch pretty much, but a lot of weapons will make some strong enemies not even notice you. You know, a broken sword or any early game sword versus a black knight, very early game mini boss, that's going to cause a lot of problems for you. So consider poise when deciding if you're going to give your all to an attack. If you give your all to a heavy attack and they don't budge and they keep attacking you and they're still a strong enemy, well then you're in double duty, because you're out of stam from the heavy attack as well. I would like to finish the discussion involving poise with a quick go over on stun lock. So stun lock is essentially the result of poise, but it's also the manner of it's the result of hitting or getting hit. Stun lock essentially, when you get hit and you're not poised enough, or they're not poised enough to deal with it, they will essentially flinch, making them exceptionally weak to more attacks. Excuse me, just gotta do this safely. So when you get hit and you're stun locked, they're gonna keep hitting you, and so that's no good. But when you are the attacker, you should use stun lock to its greatest ability if you have a light weapon, that is. See, this is the Black Knight Sword, like I've been saying, is the perfect weapon because it's a heavy weapon and yet it's a light weapon, so I guess it's a medium weapon, that I can swing fast enough and stun lock enemies very easily, whereas a heavy weapon you might not be able to think about stun lock as much. Regardless, the best way to time your attacks is not to just attack non-stop and get all the damage out. I mean, that's fine if you're going to be able to kill them quickly. But the best thing you can do is just hit them once, or hit them enough to stun them, and then start hitting them once they're starting to come back, so that they remain in the stunned state. Stunned, waiting. Oh, too early, so we can start attacking again. It turns out to work out fine, because I can handle these guys, but I would like to try again. Probably have to kill this one. Alright, I'm going to try and demonstrate stun lock in its best essence with the timing of these strikes. Get out of the way of that. Chop him. He's stunned. Wait, 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 wait. Now he's stunned again. Easy kill. It's all about timing that stun. Don't just keep on slashing and slashing, because now he's free. He can dodge any of that. Keep them stunned. That's how you win. Interesting. Alright, this is one of my favorite ones to talk about. This is about the trippy dance that is fighting. Any kind of fighting is like this. It's a back and forth dance, so to speak. Offense and defense essentially switch fluidly. Your movements are intertwined, and you need to learn how to balance them. If you run in straight attack, you will get hit. And if you play only defense, you never kill the enemy. So it's about being in and out. There when you're attacking, and out when they are, if possible. The number one prime philosophy I have is that avoiding an attack is the absolute best you can do. Blocking is second best. But if I think I'm going to get hit by an attack, I usually don't think to block in time. But like I said, your primary focus should be on avoiding attacks, because some attacks will destroy you when you get to a certain point. And if you do have a moment to think as you know an attack's coming, and it's too late, you can block. But I think you can use that block effort to roll instead, so maybe try that. Ah, yes. Oh, I guess I said that pretty well. I guess I didn't say the last thing, the most important thing. Your movements are intertwined, that's what I said. So for example, the best roll you can do is not a roll to complete safe. Let me kill this archer real quick, just so we can talk calmly. Yes, the best roll you can do is not a roll to complete safety away from every enemy. The best roll you can do is the one that sets you up to be in a good attack position. Bad roll, for example. Better. Additionally, a lot of roll attacks are thrusts, and so that can be good for getting extra range that you normally don't have. So yes, balance defense and offense, but always be moving to a better position, especially against bosses. It's just like chess. You don't want to be in a spot where they're going to keep hurting you, and you can't be standing still either. Now this will become evident the second you play this game, but there are a lot of different types of enemies out there, and they all fight very differently, so spend the time to learn how each of them attack, and you will find that some weapons work better against other enemies than others. I have two favorites really, the Black Knight Sword and the Dragon Tooth, that I switch out here and there. I guess the Black Knight Greatsword's pretty great too, but I mostly stick with those, and I think the Black Knight Sword is the best of all time, but there are times when there's an enemy with just a lot of health, or they're just a real problem. For example, the Dark Wraiths. If you don't know what they are, don't worry about it yet, but they're enemies that have like a million poise. Like, you cannot disrupt them no matter what, and they do a ton of damage. Like, the ones in Londo will rip you apart. But I find the Dragon Tooth is a great counter for them. As I mentioned, different weapons work better for different enemies. And for fast-moving enemies, I hate to use super heavy weapons. I always prefer the Black Knight Sword, but for these guys, I much prefer a nice heavy weapon to just bonk them with. Because as you can see, they can continue attacking me even after I hit them with this, for the most part. Whoa. Observe the difference in effect between using that versus the Dragon Tooth. Bonk. And thwam. It's the only way to do it. Yeah, and I would say that that is true with weapons as well as armor, rings, if you have them. Hopefully you do. And pyromancies as well. Vary your attacks for different enemies. Some of them are weak to certain things, and every enemy does have a weakness to some degree. Oh, I'm really excited for this part, actually. It's my rant to you about shields. I'm not a huge fan of shields, I gotta say. Maybe it could do good with a long-range weapon like this. Defense and offense, plus good range. But I think you need to have a good shield with you. That's definitely legit, because there are going to be times when a shield is the only counter to a specific enemy. Like, I would say if you don't have a shield, you'll never survive the Catacombs bottom floor, because there are some enemies there that just destroy you. Just wanted to take a moment to demonstrate these pinwheel skeletons and the times when you do need a shield, because as you can see, these guys will just run right through you, and even if you move out of the way and try to slash them, they come around and they are quite annoying. Now, it's mostly fine here because I've seen all these and I've cleared out all the actual hard enemies, but when you're first finding them, they're ridiculous to deal with, and shield is the only good counter for them. So I think you should get used to shields and how they work, but I don't think it's necessarily worth it to use them. To me, it's just extra weight that I like. The only point in having a shield is if you're blocking, but like I said, why block when you can roll? So going on my kind of like mobility heavy build, I don't really use shields, but there is something I absolutely must mention. I think not with this shield. Oh, I might not have a shield that works, actually. That's it right there. A parry. I don't have any shields, I think, that work with a parry, but that is an art in itself that I actually have not explored. And I should mention that I'm not a complete master at this game. I've beaten the game and I'm mostly done with my second run on the same character. But yes, all that is leading to my talk about parrying. I don't really know too much about parrying, but I'll try it for you. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, parrying is a pretty useful skill, and I hear that the last boss in particular is particularly weak to parrying, so it's worth learning. Just sometimes empty-handed, or if you have a compatible item, you have a button that with perfect timing you can 100% counter an enemy. But like I said, I don't practice it, so I'm not very good at it. Oh shit, Jesus. Wow. It is pretty cool though, I gotta say. Next one up is just a pretty basic tip actually. But it is very important, especially if you're not a super high level. Stamina management is probably your key to survival, especially if you have a very heavy weapon. Now your power attack is half stamina, I guess a little less than that, but like I said, I also have a huge stamina bar right now. But when you're up against a tough enemy, there's going to be times when you're just fighting for your life, trying to survive, so you don't think about having enough energy to go on, you're just trying to be alive. But you have to consider what it's going to take to escape and keep fighting, and get to a better position so that you can recover stamina. I was supposed to say this much earlier, but I did not. But it's not too late. This is pretty much an early game building and from then on type tip, but I'm talking to you about weight. If you ask me, if you don't have enough weight to roll, like that's your dodge, then you're too heavy. Because I mean, I guess that does kind of work, but you know, you can't move like this. I think mobility is very important, and even if you're gonna choose a very heavy build, invest into weight resistance, or use some gear that'll help you hold more weight, like Havel's Ring. Because now your survival ability is, if you ask me, like tripled, just on the fact that you cover much more distance and much more quickly with your dodge attack. It is a dodge attack after all. Actually, it's not an attack. Dodge timing is everything. If you dodge too early because you see an attack coming, you could still be in the way because they haven't stopped aiming yet, and then it'll come down on you and you'll have already been in a bad position and now you're stuck there trying to fight out. So, like I said, it goes back to some of the other tips, and know what enemies you're up against. A lot of enemies you can kill without any problems on your first time through, but there will definitely be enemies that you need to learn before you can consistently win. And so it all comes down to knowing them well enough to know when the best time to move is. In a sense, once you get good, you can kind of toy with them a bit. But, like I said, also, stay humble. Don't teabag too much. It will bite you right in the nuts. Ooh. This is also one of my favorite tips, because it applies also a lot to real fighting. But it's about dodging, and it's not really relevant so much with these guys. Maybe I should find some better enemies to use for these parts, but when you are moving away from an attack, angle is everything. Actually, at the end of all of these clips, I'm going to put in the fight of me and Artorias, so that I don't know, I doubt you're gonna remember everything that I said here and go check it out, but you'll see that the timing is everything, and also you have to move in the right direction. So some of that is also learning your enemy, but I would say as a consistent thing, you don't. Okay, well, here's the thing: Dark Souls enemies they're programmed to fight like how AIs fight each other, and how we fight each other, by learning from each other's movements. It's good to kill them quickly, I find, because they learn from how you move, which is good and bad, because like real fighting, you can put in fake movements to make them do something random as well. And so yeah, stay spicy on the boys. You're right, I think I know what I was in the middle of saying. If you make a habit out of only escaping straight backward, then you will be equally as vulnerable, because they will know that you're going to move straight backward and have a chase down attack ready as well. That's especially true for Artorias, so do make sure you watch all the way through to see what I was talking about. That also comes with knowing which attack it is as well, so I gotta say, practice and dedication is really everything to beating this game. It's not terrible. It is definitely hard, but it's not crazy hype hard. Well, I mean, where I am right now is kind of annoying, but it always is. It's just part of the love. We're getting near the end here, but this is still all very important stuff. Your heals, using Estus, need to be timed just as importantly as your attacks and rolls. If you try to heal the second you get hit, then you're still in danger and you're still getting hit. You can't heal until you're not going to be taking damage, simply put. Now sometimes that's not true when you're against more difficult bosses, because you can just spam drink and you can heal faster than they damage you. Sometimes that is a very useful tactic, but in general you're trying not to use up all your healing. You prefer to finish it with as much of that as possible. Time it right, and don't heal just because you got hurt. Keep playing until you find a safe opening. Which means you might have to agitate them into another attack. Because if you're hiding away, think of it, like I said, if this enemy fights like us, and it sees you trying to hide away and heal, it's gonna do its jump slam. You gotta anger it and make it swipe or something. Get back just enough to heal, maybe 2 times before it hits you again. And then even if you've only got a little bit of gain, that's still a positive yield. And so this game is a very long turn-based system, essentially. And it's completely freestyle as well. So frame by frame, I'd say this game is kind of the coolest thing ever. I'd love to see a flipbook of it, but I guess that's kind of what I'm doing, huh? Here's my art input for the day. Alright, I will put in a clip if I can find it here. But I would like to say that against some enemies that have a very large splash radius, a sprint jump is not equivalent to a dodge. I find that a lot of times when I sprint jump, I can still get clipped by many attacks. Well, that's because I ran right into it, obviously, but... Oh, is he gonna die? Is he gonna die? Yep, he's dead. So, just maybe that's something that you don't need to hold on to, but just I find that a lot of times you're better off with a roll instead of a sprint jump. I mean, once you land, you roll, but until then, you're pretty vulnerable, I'd say, in the air. Once you become acquainted with the game and you've started to face some challenges, you're learning how to fight smart, I would recommend you do just that, fight smart, and strategize. As you can see here, I'm waiting for this enemy. Like I said, also, it is down to positioning as well. If you can lure an enemy into a better spot where you can hit them or they can't see you, you always want to get the jump on your opponent. It's as simple as that. Like I said, in real life, you don't draw on a drawn gun. If someone's pointing a gun at you, don't pull out your gun. They'll shoot you before you aim. So, use the environment to your advantage. And also, know the dangers of your environment. I don't need a clip for that one because I got it freshly. There's fall damage for years out here, and they will not hold back, the developers, with allowing you to lose everything you have by falling to your death. So be wary of the environment and use it to your advantage. I also want to put in a clip here against Ornstein and Smough. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but just watch this here. No, I'll tell you first, and then you watch it. I find that the best way to get time to heal, or strategize, or just alter the positioning of them, is to use those pillars. Like I said, I'll make walkthroughs for full bosses later, but that's part of using the environment. If you weave in and out of them, no enemy has a straight line on you, and they can't shoot you, or sprint dash attack at you, or anything like that. They still have to move around the pillars, like a obstacle course. So, strategy and environment, that's your bonus tips for the day. The pro advice. There's going to be some more things I say after this, and I'll say this again at the end of what I'm about to say, but this is what I should have had as tip number 1, and I've kind of said it throughout, but it is the last one. I just want to say, shit's going to get tense when you see new enemies, and you're in deep, and your health is low, and you don't know how you're still alive, but you're trying to figure out what to do and if you can win and somehow clutch it out. And that feeling is what really makes this game special. But, you know, that happens all the time. If you're playing online matchmaking on a killing spree or something. What I'm trying to say is that the pressure is going to build, for sure, in some moments. Especially when you're working hard towards something difficult. And it's real easy to choke or clutch it, so you just gotta learn how to stay calm in the face of all of that noise. Just be a knight in the storm, and keep fighting with purpose. Take your time and kill your enemies in the way that you need to. Don't get sloppy with it. If it means you have to hit and run way out and then run back in and hit, even if there's more trouble than that, do what you gotta do to survive. Don't you dare go hollow. And also, I wish to say, don't be greedy when you're in the midst of attacking. Because if you overcommit to your attacks, just like real life, you'll be out of energy and in a very bad position where you're likely to be countered. So just stay chill, man, and destroy them. Destroy everything in your path. This is what I want to say. Lastly, truly lastly, it's kind of my favorite thing I came up with out of all this. Certain enemies, very, very difficult enemies, you need to fight this way that I'm about to tell you. But if you are good at fighting this way, like if you practice everything I said before, you'd basically be able to. If you want to be merciless in destroying your enemies, what you want to do essentially is bait their attacks. Get them in so they swing, and in that moment, that's when you should begin your attack. Something that I really like to do with some particularly difficult enemies, like maybe the Black Knights, but in particular the Titanite demons, the faceless stone ones, and Sir Artorias as well, which I'm about to show you, and the boss that I'm working on right now. My favorite strategy is to actually not be in close with them because they're extremely powerful. What I recommend you do, if you have the space, is go as far away as you can and trigger their long range attack. A lot of them do like a jump towards you, kind of thing. And so if you can dodge that, you force them to enter range instead of you going into them, which is always what you want. And then if you dodge that attack successfully, then you can hit them and run away. And essentially that's kind of like getting the free hits, and that goes back to the being methodical thing. In a lot of ways I think that's the smartest way to fight. All the way in, all the way out. Force them to come to you so that you can punish them for being sloppy, or even just for missing. Accidents happen, and fighting happens fast, so stay calm and stay tuned. You can survive. I'm having a lot of fun training out here in Hell, trying to demonstrate some things, and you might have seen me do it with the Capper Demon, but I want to show you it now. Like I said, the best way to be merciless with your enemies, or just the best way to fight tough enemies, is not to... Oh shit. Whoopsie. Is to be aware of your surroundings at all times. Cut the clip, cut the clips. As I was saying, as I will do with this guy, I like to stand as far as their range will let them go, so that they do their longest range attack. Jeez. Gotta get these fire dicks out of here first. 3-piece. Alright, so he can swing all day, and I don't want to fight with his swinging fucking giant axe, so I'm trying to get him to jump. But unfortunately, the stairs are making it a bit difficult. There we go. Here he comes. Oh, now he's weak. Chop. Stun lock. Finish. It's all about baiting him out. Alright, I've been trying to get this clip for probably 10 to 12 minutes now, trying to say the right thing, but then I also keep discovering something, and so I would just like to finish with a big mix of it all, which is that large sweeping attacks are something that have really plagued me for a long time. By that I'm trying to get one out of him here. Nope, not that. That's a lunge. Yeah, that kind. Those kind are very dangerous because you think that going behind them will make you safe, but then it comes around and hits you anyway, so it kind of takes out the whole positioning element of the fight whenever they do a sweep attack. Right, but what I'm discovering is that you can actually dodge sweep attacks in range of the sweep attack if you time it right. Now, I just want to confirm this because a couple times this has happened and I haven't been sure. But I feel like these guys have always killed me with that, and then I'm able to survive standing right in front of them right now. Let me try this. Bad timing, my bad. Give me that sweep. Yeah, see that? But I just want to demonstrate that even though I'm in range of being hit by that sweep, I was able to get under it because I timed it right. I didn't get the second one, but this is something that I've actually discovered over the past couple of minutes, is that you can get under sweeps, which I have thought for the longest time are very oppressive, and they certainly can be, but stick to that timing, be patient before you roll, and it's going to work out just fine for you in the end. Oh. Uh-oh. To death. Oh, a duel of fates. Well, I may have another clip or two to go through and get for the purpose of this video, but that is it. I've said everything I wanted to say. I hope you have a lot of fun. If you do try this game, I would say just enjoy it and you will get through it. It's a great universe, and I'm trying to learn all I can about it. Wish there was more. But until then, be safe and have fun, and play outside too.